You need self-control. Here's how you can get it. I spent probably about 2 decades trying to gain self-control and become a temperate person. I failed and succeeded all throughout those years in various ways, but I've learned a few things along the way that I want to share with you today so that you might start making the change from being someone who lacks self-control, who's carried along by every desire and passion and appetite that comes your way, I want you to move away from someone who's constantly distracted by your phone, your email, who constantly fails to get things done, who fails to do what you set out to achieve, who doesn't become the kind of person that you've always wanted to be. But to begin that journey, we need to go back centuries, over 2,000 years in the past, to look at one of the great thinkers on what it means to become a self-controlled and temperate person. And that's Aristotle and his Nicomachean Ethics. If you watch this video, I'm going to teach you 4 key words that you need to know that will unlock what it means for you to have self-control today so that you might begin the journey to become the kind of person that you hope you can be. And that first word is temperance. Temperance. Now, temperance is a cardinal virtue. It is something that you've acquired after long practice. It is to be the kind of person that acts in accordance with what your mind selects, what you choose to do because it's right and rational and reasonable. You're in harmony. You're not falling off the wayside so that you're living in excess, eating too much food, drinking too much alcohol, sleeping past your alarm, having too much sex, whatever it is. You're not living in excess. Nor do you, which is more rare, live in deficiency, like you don't eat enough, you don't whatever enough. You are able to live in harmony with reason and the world outside of you. This is what it means to be temperate. That's word number 1, and this is where you want to get to. But this is where almost nobody is today. So if you're not temperate, if that doesn't describe you, that's okay, because the second word is for you. The second word is self-control. Self-control. By contrast to temperance, self-control describes for Aristotle a battle against strong desires, strong appetites, strong temptations. It describes someone who isn't perhaps temperate, someone who isn't at ease and everything is hard. You fight to get up early. You fight to overcome addiction. You fight to not do the thing that you hate to do because you know that is wrong, but you sometimes do it. A self-controlled person isn't necessarily temperate. They're someone who maybe is so disordered that they have to battle and fight for self-control. Now that's going to be most of us. And for some of us, it'll be categories. You might be totally self-controlled when it comes to food, but not when it comes to sleep. So you stay up till 2 a.m. and watch Netflix. Or it could be the opposite. You're great at sleep, but you eat McDonald's 3 meals a day. So a self-controlled person isn't someone who maybe struggles with in every category. It could be selective and very particular to each and every person. But someone who is perhaps not temperate, but is self-controlled, is someone who fights for to do what they know is right, even though it's incredibly hard. Let's say you're on a diet because you're overweight, and someone puts a pizza in front of you, and you just want to eat whole pizza yourself, but you fight against that urge. The passions and desires of your flesh rage up against you, but you say, no, that is self-control. The third word that you need to know is akrasia, which is lack of self-control. There wasn't an easy single word, so I just used the Greek word. I hope you forgive me for that. For now on, we'll just use the phrase. So what does it mean to lack self-control? Well, it's a good news, bad news story. The good news is to lack self-control means you were trying to do the right thing. You were trying not to eat, but you did. You wanted to have one donut hole, but you ate 6 whole donuts. You knew the right thing, but you failed to do it. And the good news with this is that that's a curable thing. It means that you know what is right, you just haven't been able to do it yet. You lack self-control. And that's going to be all of us to a degree. All of us will, from one time or another, lack self-control. There might be a day or a week or two where you're just up too late and you're exhausted during the day because you just, I don't know, are stressed out or whatever it is, and you lack self-control. That's completely fine. But, well, it's not completely fine, it's actually wrong, but it is something that is normal and human. So, to lack self-control isn't necessarily an L. It could be a form of a W, because you knew what is right, you just need help to accomplish what is right. The fourth word you need to know is intemperance. And this is the worst place to be. An intemperate person, according to Aristotle, rationally chooses to do what is wrong, unjust, wicked, lazy, whatever it is, and doesn't usually or doesn't at all regret doing it. You are completely okay with your choice to do what you've decided to do. This means that you're not just lacking self-control, you haven't even attempted self-control. You are so okay, so deceiving and being deceived, so intemperate, such a lover of evil, such a lover of wickedness, such a lover of laziness, such a lover of whatever the vice is, alcoholism, more than a lover of what is good and right. You have lost the script. And this is actually the most dangerous and the worst place to be. For when you are here, there really isn't much hope for you. But let me read to you a little bit about what Aristotle says in his own words about lacking self-control and being intemperate, because I think his distinctions are important. This is in Book 7 of his Nicomachean Ethics. He says, "For both the self-controlled and the temperate person are the sort to do nothing contrary to reason for the sake of bodily pleasures." So this is good. So you want to seek pleasure of laziness, the pleasure of overeating, whatever it is, but you're not going to do that because you're self-controlled and temperate. But here's the category. The self-controlled person has bad appetites. Just what I was describing before. You desire whatever it is that you some evil thing, but you can overcome it sometimes. Well, the temperate person does not, and that's where we all want to get to. And the temperate person is the sort to feel no pleasure contrary to reason. Well, the self-controlled person is the sort to feel such pleasure but not be led on by it. Meaning, if you're trying to avoid, let's say, sex or pornography or something like that, the temperate person might just not need it. But the self-controlled person might really take pleasure in it, but know that it's wrong and feel entrapped, but fight against it. He continues, "The incontinent," which is the person who lacks self-control, it's just an older language. I'm not going to use it because incontinence means something very different to our ears, but that's what he says. "The incontinent and the intemperate person are like one another as well, though they are different. They both pursue bodily pleasures. But the intemperate person thinks that it is right to do so, while the incontinent does not." Wow, that's a key distinction right there. If you're intemperate, you're going to think it's right to pursue bodily pleasures, laziness, sleeping in, overeating, whatever it is, and you think that it is right to do so. What a place to be, what a dangerous place to be in. But by contrast, the person who lacks self-control, or incontinent in Aristotle's language, is the person that knows what is right but struggles against it. Remember a TV show called The Biggest Loser, where people came on the show in order to lose weight. And they knew they had a problem. They maybe overate or whatever it is, or didn't exercise enough, or a combination of the two, and maybe more besides. So they went on the show in order to overcome what they knew that was wrong in them. Well, that's a good thing. We would say that, yes, they lack self-control, but they are not an unjust or evil person. They're not like big bad. They want to do what is right. They want to kind of overcome this. But someone who is intemperate, we actually might say is bad, is unjust, and depending on what we're talking about, wicked. There's a hierarchy of words here. So I'll go through them because these 4 words also have a hierarchy of meaning here. Here is the hierarchy of words. First, you have temperance. This is the highest. We all want to be temperate. We want to be the kind of person that it's in complete harmony in our mind, in our feelings, in our desires, and we don't do anything in excess. We take pleasure where pleasure should be found. We don't overeat, we don't overdrink, we don't oversleep. We just are in harmony with ourselves and the world around us. This is the best. But if that's not you, self-control is even better. You can fight and battle those bad desires, those bad appetites, and you can conquer them consistently. The next place to be is lacking in self-control. And that's not great, but at least you know what is right. At least you can admit that you have a problem. But the last and the worst state to be in is intemperance, because you are choosing bodily pleasures over what you know to be right. You are self-sabotaging yourself, even though you know the right thing to do. Now that you know those 4 words, you are ready to begin your journey of self-control, of temperance. And I won't be able to in this video to give you the full picture of this. But I will say, if you're watching the video this long, you're probably in the category of someone who lacks self-control, or perhaps is self-controlled, but want to move to that next level of being temperate. If you lack temperance, if you're intemperate, then it's almost certain that there's nothing that this video or anyone can do for you. You've already rationally chosen self-destruction. And the only way that someone like this can be saved is through religion. You need an experience of the divine to regenerate, renew, and transform you, because you are so fixated on the evil that you cannot love the good. But if you lack self-control, it means that you already know what is right and want some help to pursue what is good. And all I want to say here is the first thing to do to move up in this hierarchy towards temperance is you need to, 1, isolate habits of justice. Isolate habits of justice. And you can only do this when you have first pursued wisdom, so you know what is right and what is wrong. Wisdom is the long, pondering reflection on rational choice. In my next videos, I'm going to talk to you about what wisdom is, so that you can know what that looks like. And secondly, you can know what justice looks like. But on the assumption that you know what is right, what you need to do is practice what is right, because virtue comes to us by habit, and eventually it becomes second nature. Everything is hard to start, but it becomes easier over time. And there's a particular fruit that comes as you plant and sow a habit of justice, a habit of righteousness. That might mean you need to get up earlier to get work done, or to exercise in the morning. So your habit is, every day I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. for the next month. Do 100 push-ups in the morning and have a hearty breakfast. And that's it. And one of the things that you'll find is that habits of self-control begin to spill over in all of life. By contrast, habits of vice tend to infect the rest of life. So little by little, you're going to replace the habits of vice with habits of virtue, so that through habituation, through a long habituation in the same direction, over many weeks, months, and years, you eventually learn self-control in this category, in that category, in this category. And it may take you many years, it could take you a decade, but you may reach a level of temperance, the best kind of level that you can reach. And remember, perfect temperance is something that is only accessible through a vision of the divine. So don't overthink what you can and cannot accomplish. The moment you think that you're perfectly temperate, you will find that actually you're imbalanced. Maybe you're someone who, spends 16 hours improving you by working out and eating perfectly, but you then lack community, and you lack friendship. You lack the particular virtues that make up what self-control actually looks like, which prudence and temperance lead you to. So don't overthink about what you can do, but pursue what you can by habit over and over. And if you keep watching this channel, and you should like and subscribe, I'll continue to give practical advice for how to get there. In this video, you simply needed to know what it meant to lack self-control and what to aim for, namely self-control and then ultimately temperance.